Assalamu alaikum. Hope all of you are fine. And this is our third and the last lecture of the histology of the integumentary. In this lecture, we'll discuss the histological features of the sweat glands. There are two types of the sweat glands, the merocrine and the apocrine, and we'll discuss what are their differences. Then the histological features of the mammary gland and its three states, that is the inactive state during the pregnancy and during the lactation. The sweat glands, they are present in the human all over the body, and they are distinguished by this secretory mechanisms into the merocrine or the eccrine sweat glands and the apocrine sweat glands. The two types of the glands, they differ in their histological appearance and in the composition of their sweat they secrete and the mode of the secretion by which they secrete. The apocrine sweat glands, they are attached to the hair follicles and they are a part of the pilosebaceous unit, which we have discussed in the earlier lectures. Whereas the eccrine sweat glands, they pour their secretions directly over to the surface epithelium. The merocrine or the eccrine sweat glands, they have a critical importance for the regulation of the body temperature. They are present all over the skin except the external genitalia. They are the branched tubular, they are simple tubular glands, and their secretory portion or the parenchyma is coiled on itself, and also the initial portion of the duct. It's coiled upon itself, and you can see here clearly visible. These are all the secretory portion of the merocrine sweat gland, and this is the duct which opens onto the surface of the epithelium. So it lies at the junction of the dermis and the hypodermis. The secretory epithelium of the merocrine sweat glands or the eccrine sweat glands is the simple cuboidal or low columnar. There are two types of the cells which can be distinguished in the secretory alveoli of the sweat glands. That is the light staining cells. They are the light staining tall columnar or the low columnar or the cuboidal cells. They will produce uh, they will secrete the watery eccrine sweat, whereas the dark staining cells they will secrete the mucin, and their cells they vary in the shapes and the size. Therefore, the epithelium of the lining epithelium may appear as the pseudostratified. There is also the myoepithelial cells which are surrounding all the alveoli. These are the modified smooth muscle cells, and they help in the contraction of the single cells to pour their secretion into the lumen. The excretory duct of the gland is stratified cuboidal with the two layers, and the excretory duct of the merocrine sweat glands, they open directly onto the surface of the skin. The apocrine sweat glands, they are present in the axilla, and they are stimulated by the sexual hormones and are not fully developed or functional before the puberty. Their secretion or the sweat is milky, proteinaceous, and odorless. The odor is a result of the bacterial decomposition and is, at least in the mammals and other than humans, of importance for the sexual attraction. Now you can see here in this diagram the hair follicles and the hair bulb, and these are the apocrine glands. You can see they are attached to the secretory unit of the gland of the hair follicle, that is the pilosebaceous unit. So they will always, the apocrine glands will pour their secretions through the canal which is shared by the shaft of the hair also, which is called the pilosebaceous unit, which we have discussed in our previous lecture. The histological structure of the apocrine sweat gland is similar to that of the merocrine glands. It is lining epithelium is simple cuboidal or columnar cells, You can see here the columnar epithelium or the low cuboidal or the columnar epithelium. But the lumen is more wider than that of the mitochondrial sweat glands. The excretory duct of the apocrine sweat glands does not open directly onto the surface of the skin. Instead, the excretory duct empties the sweat into the upper part of the hair follicles, or therefore they are part of the pilosebaceous unit. Now, this photomicrograph shows you all the difference of the eccrine and the apocrine sweat glands. Now, you can see here is clearly visible the eccrine glands. Their secretory portion is small, and the lumen is merely visible. Whereas the apocrine sweat glands, they have a wide lumen, and they are lined by the cuboidal epithelium or the tall columnar epithelium also. Now the mammary gland. The mammary gland, they are all modified glands of the skin. They are the compound branched alveolar glands, and they are composed of the 15 to 25 lobes, which are separated by the dense interlobar connective tissue. And there are a variable amount of the fat which are also present in the connective tissue stroma. So each lobe, it contains an individual gland, and the excretory duct of the each lobe is called the lactiferous duct. And this lactiferous duct opens up into the onto the surface of the nipple. Before just emerging from the nipple, the lactiferous duct has a dilated portion, and this dilated portion is called the lactiferous sinus, and this lactiferous sinus is responsible for the accumulation of the milk. Now, there are different phases of the development of the mammary gland. Now, you can see here in this lobe, which is shown here, the inactive state of the mammary gland. You can see the small amount of the alveoli, and these are surrounded by a lot of the stroma. Now, in the early pregnancy or the mid-pregnancy, the alveoli, they branch rapidly, and they proliferate, and they enlarge in size. Whereas in the lactiferous state, these alveoli, they are filled with the secretory substance, that is the milk. You can see visible here. And then is the last one is the regression, or in the after also the menopause, the glands, they regress, and they again become, they shrink in size, and they become less amount of the alveoli, whereas the stroma increases. So we'll discuss these phases one by one. Now, this is a photomicrograph of the mammary gland in an inactive state. So, as we have discussed earlier in the glandular epithelium, then whenever we have to discuss a gland, we discuss in the two components, that is the parenchyma and the stroma. So, the parenchyma, or the secretory portion or the functional portion of the mammary gland, consists of the alveoli, and these alveoli, they are lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium. They vary in size in the different phases. So in the inactive state, there are small amount of the alveoli, and they are the lumen is merely visible. They are surrounded by the interlobar connective tissue and the intralobar connective tissue. Now, this connective tissue stroma, which is surrounding the alveoli, it is fibromuscular stroma, and it contains a variable amount of the adipocytes. You can see here the clearly visible adipocytes. Now you can see here the lactiferous duct. The lactiferous duct, which is lined by the stratified cuboidal epithelium, and this is also the duct is the lumen is not visible clearly. So this is an inactive state. The variable amount of the adipocytes and the alveoli, and a lot of the fibromuscular stroma which is surrounding these alveoli. So the lactiferous duct, this diagram shows you the lactiferous duct, and the lactiferous duct consists of the cuboidal the epithelium, a stratified epithelium, and this is stratified epithelium is you can see visible here the stratified epithelium, and beneath the nipple, as we have discussed, the lactiferous duct forms the lactiferous sinus, which is a reservoir of the milk, and branches from the lactiferous ducts, they are lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium. So these you can clearly visible surrounding by the fibromuscular stroma, and these are the this is also showing you the lactiferous duct. Now these are secretory unit or the alveoli of the mammary gland, and they are lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium, and a layer of the myoepithelial cells also surrounds them between the epithelium and the basement membrane of the alveoli, and they help to contract and help the cells to secrete their secretions into the lumen. Now, this is the active mammary gland during the early and the late pregnancy. You can see the size of the alveoli, it has increased tremendously. And these increase in the size of the alveoli is under the hormonal control. So under the regulation of the estrogens, the alveoli, they can increases in size, and there is a start secreting their secretory products into the lumen, that is the milk. The amount of the fibromuscular stroma and the intralobar stroma, it decreases in size, decreases in the amount also. Now you can see here, this is the magnified image of the mammary gland during pregnancy, and large lipid droplets, they are visible in the alveoli. So during the lactating state or of the mammary gland, there is a considerable increase in the size of the alveoli, so that the simple cuboidal epithelium, it is thinned out and appears as the simple squamous epithelium. So it is thinned out actually. So all of the lumen of these alveoli, they are filled with the early secretions of the milk, that is the colostrum, and the amount of the fibromuscular stroma, it reduces. These are the lactiferous ducts showing you the filled with the secretions. So the continued growth of the mammary gland during the second half of the pregnancy is due to the increase in the height of the epithelial cells and an expansion of the lumen alveoli. And they contain this protein-rich eosinophilic secretions, the colostrum or the foam milk. You can see here these eosinophilic secretions. Now, this is the slide of the lactating mammary gland. The alveoli, they are filled with the secretory secretions, that is the initial colostrum or the foremilk, and the thinned out interlobular connective tissue and the intralobular connective tissue. Now, in this lining epithelium of these alveoli, you can see the clearly visible empty spaces, which are the droplets of the fat, and also the secretions which are look like the empty spaces. And the rupture of these membranes, cell membranes, they may rupture and pour their secretions out by the merocrine mode of the secretions. And you know what is the merocrine mode of the secretion. So the lining epithelium of these cells, alveoli, they have a rich ergatoplasm and the fat droplets. The ergatoplasm means the endoplasmic reticulum, which have the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The ribosomes, they are facing the cytosol. They help to form the proteins which are transported into the extracellular matrix. The protein which is found in the colostrum is the casein proteins. So these alveoli, they are large in size, and you can see these empty spaces, which are the fat droplets. Now, this is the comparison of the different states of the mammary gland. Now you can clearly visible the inactive state of the mammary gland with a few of the alveoli and the rich amount of the inter and the intralobular connective tissue, which is fibromuscular stroma. And in the early and the late pregnancy, the size of the alveoli in the lobules, they starts increasing, they starts proliferating, they branching, and the amount of the fibrous muscular stroma, it decreases. So they are filled with the early secretions, that is the colostrum. Later on in the lactating state, all the fibromuscular stroma is thinned out in the form of the streaks, and there is a large the alveoli, the lobules, they are filled with a large amount of the alveoli filled with the secretions, and these lactiferous ducts, they are also dilated and they are filled with the secretions, that is the foam milk or the colostrum. You can clearly visible. So they are under the hormonal control. So this is all about our integumentary system, that we have discussed all the parts of the integumentary system and all the appendages of the skin also. So if you have any queries, you can ask me on your WhatsApp group. Thank you.